Are you ready to be provoked in your mind, inspired in your spirit, and stimulated to be a better you? Then get ready. TNT Talk, television's inspirational talk, starts now.
Welcome to TNT Talk with your host, Bishop Dr. Tyrone Smith. I'm here with my wife, Lady Savannah Smith, and we are delighted to be with you on another broadcast episode. This show is sponsored by the Doyen Network. It is a fingerprint of excellence. Visit us at www.doyen.network. Again, that email address not email, I'm sorry, the web address is www.doyen.network. You can email us at doyenministries@gmail.com. Sweetheart, here we are again. Delighted to be with you on another broadcast episode, and you are looking delightful.
Thank you, Bishop. It's always good to be back for another week with our viewing audience, and I'm ready to get started.
And before we get started, I just want to say that my wife and I just celebrated 20 years
Yes, we
of marriage together this past November the 6th. And I just want you to know, to all of our viewing audience, that we have been together for 23 years. And of the 23 years, we have been married this year 20 years.
that's a
Happy
long
anniversary.
time. Happy anniversary, and I'm looking forward to another 20 plus years.
20 good years.
Good
Best
years.
years
Yes,
are to come. Our best years are to come. Shout out to my executive producer holding us down in the background, Mr. Dominic
absolutely.
Smith. Um, he is certainly been there throughout the whole ordeal.
Yes,
He's been there the entire time. He was with me when I met you,
yes, he was.
and he's still here.
Yes,
he's,
absolutely.
he's still here. Um, and we've added some other parts now. Shout out to Jayla Smith up in Elysian College in Michigan. Shout out to our youngest son, Destin Smith, who just came off of their football season, came up a little short in the playoffs, but certainly shout out to my son as he was playing football and moving right into his next sport, getting himself ready for high school wrestling. So just keep him in prayer. Listen, let's go right to TNT News because the TNT Talk News, we've got a lot to talk about with that. And it's no need in us trying to dodge the inevitable, for the inevitable has happened. And we want to um, send our well wishes to the newly elected president of the United States of America, President Donald Trump, who will be the 47th president of these United States. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about was not just the fact that he won, but how he won. He won quite handily. And he won because the analysts said there were three areas where he absolutely capitalized, which I thought was quite unique. He capitalized with the African American young voters, male voters in particularly. He also capitalized on the Latino vote strongly, and he also capitalized on Caucasian women. Those were the three dominant areas where he really excelled. Not to mention that he also excelled very well amongst the African American black vote. He actually did quite well. Um, and you can see as we're putting the numbers up, we just wanted you to see what happened that in the key states, if you look at the go back down, producer, if you go back now, let's take a look at these numbers. Look at the numbers. 47% of the men that voted hit, this is how it went. 55% voted for him instead of the Democrats that it was only 42%. Look at the women. Now, the women
Mm.
Democrats voted more for him than the men, but not that much. But then look at this next number. If you look at the Caucasians, it was it was it was massive, 57%. Certainly, we knew that the black vote was going to go the way that it did, so we're not surprised there. I'm more surprised that the Latino vote, 46% of those individuals voted for him. So she only had a 6% margin there. Only 6%. Only 6%. But now, if you go down and you look by race, look at the white men, look at the white women. You see that? Of course, black women voted for her hands down. We clearly see that. Overwhelmingly, we saw that. But in the areas where she would have had to be more dominant, she wasn't. Because unfortunately, she lost to the white women. She lost to the white men. She lost to the Latino men. That was pretty significant. That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
And the numbers don't lie. Now, this next one is the shocker. Look at the age group. Look at the new voters. The new voters, she only won by 11%. She only won by 11%. The 30 to 44-year-old was dead, almost dead even. And those that were older, the 9% that she won, or the 11% that she won, look what happened. She wound up losing that right in the 45 to 64-year-old group. And then the 65 year and older, it was dead even. So he won in that area. He won in that area. And so regardless of whatever we're trying to say concerning him and his moral stance, my observation of this election really came down to something very important. And this is one of the things that I drew, and I drew a lot of things out of this election. But here's one of the things that I just could not help but to rehearse in my mind. When Vice President Kamala Harris was asked in her administration if she were to become the 47th president of the United States of America, they asked her, would she do anything different than the Biden administration? And out of loyalty, and you can't make me believe it was anything else, out of sheer loyalty, out of the fact that you are a part of the current administration as is acting vice president, you said, I would do nothing. But when you say, I will do nothing, you're also saying, as you are looking to become president, that all of the complexities that we're dealing with, all of the economical woes that we're dealing with, all the things that we're dealing with the wars, all the things that we're dealing with the troubles at the border, and a bunch of other complexities that are all playing out right now in our eyes. Your comment to the American citizens who were preparing to go to the polls was that be reassured that for the last 4 years of what you experienced, you're going to experience the exact same thing. You're asking people to vote for what they said they wanted to change. When you look at it that way, you force the people to vote for President Trump because you said out of your own mouth you wouldn't change anything.
Wow.
What were the people supposed to do?
Wow.
What were they supposed to do? And let's go a step further and let's talk about the extreme stereotyping that still exists right now. Only the people that know me and know that I said when the possibility of her becoming the candidate, I said, this is going to be very difficult because in this country, unfortunately, right now, even as we are still now moving past this election, right now, to this very moment, as you are seeing this broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear. A woman who is working in corporate America with a male counterpart is not equally paid. That's a fact. And what it
It
says
is.
is that the capability of her doing the work, there is no question.
Yeah,
The capability of her gender to do the work is not a question. The capability that for however many hours and the academia that is required to be achieved to do the work is not in question. So then the question becomes, well, if those things are not in question,
what is it?
what prohibits a woman to be equally paid for a job that her male counterpart is still getting paid more? Why is that? Ladies and gentlemen, here's the reason why it is. And whether we like it or not, and I'm not trying to say this as a bias, I'm just stating the facts. It's still a man's world.
It is, and
It's still a man's world.
I honestly don't think that the country was ready for a woman president.
And
I really
I
don't.
spoke to women. I spoke to African American women. Some of them were absolutely going to vote for her just because she was an African American woman, which is not good.
It is not.
That's not good. But do you know I also spoke to African American women who said that they did not want a woman president? They said they didn't want a woman president as a woman.
Yeah,
So that tells you there were a lot of different things that really did. And again, can we go back to the numbers? Can we go back to the numbers? The numbers don't lie.
they don't.
The numbers, ladies and gentlemen, you can say whatever you want, you can feel whatever you want. Look at the woman voters in this poll. Look at the woman voters. The woman voters that were that the new voters. Let's break it down for a second. The new voters that were just coming to the poll in that generation obviously were voting for her, right? Let's look at the number. That is a 24% marginal difference of these new voters that are coming to the polls. So she's up 24%, right? The margin then comes down because that next group, the 30 to 44, well, the margin is only 11%. Then you go to the next group and it's almost dead even
It is.
in that next group. And then you go to the 65 and older, and she won there. So you would think if a woman was going in, if it was based on the premise of her being a woman, you would think women would absolutely come out and vote for her because she's a woman, and the numbers say no. Now, here's another matrix. Let's take a look at this matrix. Look at the voters who never went to college. Look how they voted. Look how they voted. Look at the ones who attended college but didn't get a degree. Look how they voted. Look at the ones who had an associate degree. Look how they voted. Look at the ones with the higher levels of education, BAs and up, were the only categories where she won. All of the other categories, she lost. Now, you would think if a position was based upon intellect and the need to have some level of academia or intellect in order for you to run such a powerful position, you would think that those who don't have it would look to that and say, we want a competent, educated man to be in that position. The numbers said no.
Yeah.
The numbers said no.
And that says
They
a
said
lot.
no. They said no. And I want you to understand this is NBC's report. This is what they're reporting. This is the matrix that was drawn from them. And these numbers are staggering. This is staggering. Look at white men, non-college graduates. She won 69% for men and 63% for women.
Trump did.
The Trump did, yeah.
Yes.
63 and 69% respectively. I'm sorry to say, ladies and gentlemen, these numbers don't lie. Look at this category here. No matter how you voted today, do you usually think of yourself as and it just shows you. It just shows you. Look at the conservative vote. The conservatives voted 90% for him. The liberals, obviously, the moderates, it's not much, but look. So see here, in terms of the political matters, everything was it happened the way it should have. It happened the way it should have. Liberals voted the way liberals would vote, right?
Yeah.
Conservatives, everybody voted the way that they needed to vote.
Yes, but
It's just that when you look at the African American vote versus the Caucasian vote, she did not do well in the Caucasian vote.
she did not. I still think after it's all said and done that she still ran a very good race. And I think the way she
Absolutely.
carried herself was
Absolutely. I mean,
absolutely
she carried
amazing
herself like a
compared
lady.
to
She carried
him.
herself as a great politician. She carried herself as a former prosecutor. She carried herself very
She
well, and she
represented
carried herself
well.
very well
She
as
did.
as the vice president of the United States.
She did. And another thing that was very disheartening to me, I heard many people say that they were not voting, inclusive of some high ranking individuals that I heard say voices on the news that neither candidate was going to receive their votes. And I wasn't really happy about that because, in my opinion, that does not send a good signal. So, I mean, who knows? It is what it is. It is a male dominated world. Um, and that's the reality. I
It
don't
is the
think that's
reality.
ever going to change it.
No, it's not. But one thing is for sure, we have to make sure that we do our part in this next administration and to make sure that we're doing the best that we can as citizens as all of this is going to play out. This has been TNT News, TNT Talk News, and we're going to go right to a commercial, and then we're going to be right back to do our ultimate elimination, and it's going to be even better than it was last week. You know, we try to make it better each time. So let's go to this commercial, and we'll be right back. This is TNT Talk. We'll be right back.
In this age of technology, graphics are everywhere. PGEE Graphic Design offers flag banners as a great way to display your church, business, or organization. These banners can go up to 12 feet high, 3 feet wide. You can get a feather or teardrop custom banner today. Need a custom logo, seal, or crest for your business, church, or title? Let PGEE Graphic Design help you. Make sure your brand fits your vision. Within 5 days or less, we can give you the image you're looking for. PGEE, designing with you in mind. Nothing makes an event look good like a retractable, backdrop, or X-frame banner. And PGEE Graphic Design can design your banner and enhance your event. We have many different sizes to choose from and a 7 to 10 day turnaround to get the banner to you. Need a poster design for a special event or funeral? We take our time and design with you in mind to ensure the look you want in the time frame that you need. No matter what your graphic needs are, our team of graphic designers can handle it. Websites, book covers, flyers, letterhead, yard signs, invitations, funeral obituaries, embroidery, card magnets, and so much more. PGEE stands ready to assist you with one or several of your graphic needs. Give us a call 410-793-7238 or via email pgee.graphic@gmail.com. PGEE Graphic Design. We design with you in mind.
I am.
And we're back with TNT Talk with your host, Bishop Dr. Tyrone Smith, and my wife, Lady Savannah. And this episode is brought to you by PGEE Graphic Design. We design with you in mind. It's time for the ultimate elimination. You know how it works, you know what you got to do. It's real simple. You got to choose. You got to choose. One's got to go, all of their works. If you dare, you got to choose. I need you to go to the voting and vote at doyenministries at gmail.com, or they can text at what number, sweetheart?
410-793-7238.
It's just that simple, and you got to vote. What if you had to choose between Drew Hill or Jodeci? One of them has got to go. What say ye, First Lady?
Why do you always have to start with me?
Because you're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. What do you
It's a
think?
hard one.
That is tough right there because the styles are the same. The music and the musicianship is the same. Production is almost the same. Um, I mean, there's not much difference between the two. And its key singers are good in both. I mean, when I tell you this right here is tough right here. This is tough right here.
So I'm going to just pick, don't ask for an explanation because I can't give you one. So
Oh
I'm
boy.
going to say Jodeci has to go.
Jodeci
And
has to
Drew
go.
Hill stays.
Drew Hill stays. Now, I'm gonna make it easy for you. If you live in Baltimore, you know who you gotta pick. You better stop playing games.
I wasn't even thinking about
You
that.
don't play games. Don't play games. If you live in this region, you had better not turn your back on the group that was named after one of the best parks in this Baltimore, Drew Hill Park. Drew Hill was named after Drew Hill Park. That Drew Hill Park is a staples in Baltimore. When you can't pick or nothing else, you just go with the hometown guys. That's what you do.
There you go.
Drew Hill got to stay. Now, in terms of music, oh my God. Oh my God. The music on both sides is, ooh, my. When I say it's good on both sides, it's
It
good on
is. It's
both
a tough
sides.
choice.
It's good on both sides. So really, let me just be clear. You can't go wrong either way. But because Drew Hill's the hometown group, we're going with the hometown group. That's how that's going to work. But what if we got to, it's time to get down to the nitty gritty and it's time to pick. One of them has got to go. It's either the PS5 or the Xbox Series X. You got to pick. Now, in my defense, I don't play either
I
one.
was about to say, don't ask me
I don't
because
play either one. I have played when they were, way back, when the buttons were easier to manage and you didn't need a college education in order for you to manage the controller and, that kind of thing. But honestly, now ain't nowhere in the world I play either one of them. I'm telling you, I'd have to go back to college for full time just so I could understand how to control the controllers. You got buttons here, buttons here, buttons here.
You would figure it out pretty
I
quick.
no, it's just too many buttons, too many buttons. But for those who are the gamers, they know the truth. Now, I did do a little studying as I was taking a look at this. So I do have a little knowledge that will help my vote because you still have to vote, First Lady. Don't try to get out.
I don't think it's fair, but
You're gonna
okay.
have to vote. You're gonna have to vote. But I've done a little study and I can make a more educated decision.
Well, go ahead with your educated decision. Which one?
Well, according to what I read,
What
let me
did you
play
read?
my
Was it a
voice when I
credible
say this.
source?
It was a credible source. It was credible. Uh, I would like to say that it was said it's not necessarily based on the console. It's actually based on the games that come with the console, which means it has more to do with the games you like. The games you like will actually determine the console that will stick. Having said that, I had a chance to view the quality of the PS5. I had a chance to view the quality of the Xbox. And I am here to tell you that based upon the games that I saw and how it was played, I'm going to say that the Xbox has to go
Okay.
because the PS5 definitely had it was just quality. It just I mean, it was so good. I was watching my sons play and it was like watching real football on TV. I mean, I started to call ESPN and bet.
All right.
Now you have to vote, ma'am.
PS5 has to go.
Really? That's how you do
Yep.
it? Y'all pray for her, please. Pray for her. Pray for her. But what if we have to find out and you have to be a wrestling connoisseur? Let's get down to the inevitable. Is it the Hulk or is it Ric Flair? We got to choose. And if you thought those video game choices was tough, this is tough because I grew up watching wrestling when it was still in the minds of many that it wasn't fake, which we now know it is. It's scripted. We know. But long before then, when they were selling us that it was fake, I mean that was real and not fake. Wrestling was it was unbelievable. Both of those guys absolutely. I mean, the amount of influence that they had,
I
unbelievable,
agree. I agree with that part.
unbelievable. Um, I remember when Hulk Hogan won the WWF championship when it was still called the WWF championship. Actually, I think it was called the WWF championship. Um, it was the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. And I remember when he beat the Iron Sheik, and it I mean the whole world shook. I remember when Bob Backlund had the WWF belt. I remember when he lost it to the Iron Sheik. I mean, there's a lot there. I remember when Ric Flair was wrestling Starcade, defending the belt over a 30-day window every night, wrestling the top wrestlers in the NWA. This is before the WCW. I'm talking about real history. I'm talking about back when he was wrestling and got the belt from Harley Race. I remember the cage matches. I remember him losing the belt to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I remember uh, him losing the belt to Sting. I mean, there is a lot. I mean, the influence that both of these guys have had on wrestling is just unbelievable. But to choose, which you have to choose.
Ric Flair has to go. I'm done.
You are out of your mind. Ric
That's my
Flair,
choice.
Ric Flair would stay. Here's the reason why. Because Hogan certainly as an independent had a profound effect upon wrestling. But there will never be another Four Horsemen. Ric Flair became a phenomenon because of the Four Horsemen, which then became many other things after that.
I remember.
And because of it, Hogan is Hogan. But the way that Ric Flair, Ric Flair's character has actually carried over into the real world. Like they see him as that guy in the ring and out of the ring. And he's older now. Hogan, he's gone to Hollywood. He tried to become, Hollywood Hogan. Like he had to reinvent himself to stay relevant. Ric Flair has been Ric Flair, period. He never changed. Ric Flair was always that guy. Space Mountain, Ric Flair. He never changed. Ric Flair has always been Ric Flair, which
Yes.
tells you just how much influence that guy really had. Hulk Hogan had to become Hollywood Hogan and the NWO. Now, the NWO, yeah, he did, but there will never, there'll never be a dominance like it was with the Four Horsemen.
Okay.
And even though the NWO, when the WCW, you know, and all that stuff it happened, and then Hogan was there, Flair was there, and all that stuff. But by that time, they were in their later years, it was different. So you got to choose. It's real simple. It's either Jodeci
Drew Hill.
and Drew Hill, which is unbelievable. Or in game console, you got to choose between Xbox Series X or the PS5, or you got to choose between two of the most prominent and most influential wrestlers of all time, Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan. It's real simple. They got to choose. What they got to do, sweetheart?
You can vote via email at doyenministries@gmail.com or vote via text at 410-793-7238.
We want to know what you're saying. We want you to make your voice heard. It's the ultimate elimination. Listen, we're going to go to commercial and then we're going to come back and share the word of the Lord. I've got something I want to share with you that I think you're really going to enjoy. This is TNT Talk. We'll be right back.
More Americans are driving every day to work, to school, to church, or just to travel. And with all the new drivers on the road, accidents are sure to happen. Are you frustrated because your insurance keeps increasing? Are you shopping for a new car but need a good insurance rate? Then call Goosehead Insurance, the Smith Firm and Agency, the DMV's leading insurance broker. Whether it's a new car, too many tickets, a history of accidents, DUIs, or simply it's just too expensive, scan the QR code on the screen or visit us online at www.smithfirm.agency and submit an application for a quote. It only takes 2 minutes, and with AI technology and over 23 carriers to assist you, we can bind your policy and get you covered in the same day. Give our agents a call at 443-264-4398 or visit us online at www.smithfirm.agency. We're not just an agency, we're a standard of excellence.
And we're back with TNT Talk with your host, Bishop Dr. Tyrone Smith, and my wife, Lady Savannah. It's time for the word. It's time for the word of the Lord. There is nothing like the word of the Lord. It is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our pathway. The word of the Lord is sponsored by the Smith Firm and Agency. It is a standard of excellence. You can visit it at www.smithfirm.agency. Again, that's www.smithfirm.agency, or you can call at 443 264 4398. Again, 443-264-4398. Let's go to the word of the Lord. We're going to Genesis chapter number 39. Genesis chapter number 39. I wanted to specifically talk about this because some things that I posted something on my Facebook page. And when I posted on my Facebook page, I got some interesting responses, and I wanted to kind of share and talk about it through the word today. And so let's go to Genesis chapter number 39. Let's go to Genesis chapter 39. And let me bring up the post. Um, Producers, can they see that post? They can see the post? Okay. So I posted this on my social media page. I said, hey, ladies, I don't care how innocent you think it is. Don't message any married man at 10 o'clock at night saying, hey, friend. And we are still getting responses from that particular post 2 days ago. And so I wanted to address that in what I would call this message. I would call it uh, Sexcapade Shutdown.
Okay.
Sexcapade Shutdown. Men can be pure too.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Men can be pure too. Genesis chapter 39, starting at verse 1. When Joseph was taken to Egypt by the Ishmaelite traders, he was purchased by Potiphar, who was an Egyptian officer. Potiphar was captain of the guard for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, which would later come into play later on. The Lord was with Joseph. So he succeeded in everything he did as he served in the home of his Egyptian master. Potiphar noticed this thing on him and realized the Lord was with Joseph, giving him success in everything he did. This pleased Potiphar. So he soon made Joseph his personal attendant.
Hmm.
So I want to stop there and just say that Joseph's attribute of God being with him became an attraction to the world.
That's good. That's good.
Mhm. God being up on Joseph made him attractive to the world. Joseph didn't have to become like the world to become attracted by the world.
Mm-hmm.
See that?
That's a mouthful. Yes.
Yeah. Let's keep going because there's something interesting here that I want to point out here. He put him in charge of his entire household and everything he owned. So look at the position of him being godly. Look where he winds up. From the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's household and property, the Lord began to bless Potiphar's household
For
for
Joseph's
Joseph's
sake.
sake. Let me be clear and read that again. From the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's household and property, the Lord began to bless Potiphar's household, but he was blessing the household for Joseph's sake, meaning he wouldn't bless Potiphar unless Joseph was there.
Yes.
I want to be clear and say this to someone who may be viewing this. I just want you to know your presence on your job and or with those people are causing blessings on that job, not because of them, but because of you.
That's right.
God's doing that because you're there. God's doing that because he's favoring you. And wherever you are, there is where God is also.
That's right.
So please know that you being there has a very profound reason. And don't ever think that for 1 second that your presence doesn't matter. Your presence matters more than what you could ever know. And the blessings that every person in that place is experiencing is directly tied to the favor that's on your life.
Good. That's good.
So please know that. But that's not my point.
What is your point?
Let's get to my point. Because as all of this has now become favorable to Potiphar, because all this favor is on Joseph, all his household affairs ran smooth and his crops and livestock flourished. So Potiphar gave Joseph complete administrative responsibility over everything he owned. With Joseph there, he didn't worry about a thing except what kind of food to eat. Well, you know things is
That's a lot
good
of power.
when you got that kind of power.
Yeah.
But where there is power, there comes influence. Where there is influence, it will attract some promiscuity and it will attract sexcapades.
Okay.
Because see, Joseph was very handsome. Joseph was well built. And Potiphar's wife soon began to look at him a little differently. See, power, watch very carefully. See, power is very attractive.
It is.
Because, see, Joseph was always handsome. Joseph was always well built. Joseph didn't have that power. Power will make a big nose, big tooth, big ear, beady neck man look good.
For some.
Promise you, if he got enough money, all you gotta do is just put some Benjamins on his face. That'll take the ugly away.
I don't know about that.
I'm telling you that look, a Grant is a new mascara. It'll make anything look good. But let's go a little further.
Okay.
Because see, him being who he is has now gotten into her eye. So she says, come on, let's have a little sexcapade. Come and sleep with me. Watch how Joseph responds. Joseph says, look, my master trusts me with everything in his house. No one here has more authority than me.
I do.
He has held back nothing from me except you because you're his wife. Look at his response. His response is, how can I do such a wicked thing? It would be a great sin against God. Now, I want to stop there because I want to show you something. What I want to show you is Joseph in that statement when he said, how can I do this thing in the sight of God? How can I do this? My master has given me authority over everything. How can I do this? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be clear. Joseph not one time said that he wasn't attracted to her.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph not one time said that he wouldn't mind sleeping with her. Joseph's response didn't say, I don't have the parts to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph's response was, it was based on morality. It was based on character.
Mm-hmm.
It was based on integrity.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't based on parts.
Right.
It wasn't based on how I felt. It was based on what I looked to.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that again. It wasn't based on what he felt. It was based on what he looked to.
He leaned more toward his God consciousness.
He
Mm-hmm.
was looking at his God consciousness,
Yes.
not his fleshly desire.
Yes.
So because of it, I call it the Sexcapade shutdown. But see, it only got shut down because he wanted to be pure,
Mm-hmm.
not promiscuous.
Right.
There's a difference. See, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to pay attention here. When I posted the post about a woman coming into your messenger at 10 o'clock, there were a lot of women that chimed in and they agreed. But I had one woman who said, well, it sounds like there's some history there.
Mm-hmm. I read
And
that.
I said, well, can you explain what you mean by there's history there? Because whether or not there's history or not, what does that have to do with a woman coming into my messenger saying, hey, friend, at 10 o'clock at night? What does that have to do with anything? Because whether we got history or not, that history don't override, watch this, my current situation.
It's disrespectful.
It's disrespectful. I don't care what history we got. I don't care. And the fact that I brought it up obviously means that I wasn't in agreement with it. So I guess the woman thought that I was doing something that warranted their response. And so tell them what I said in that chat to kind of settle it off.
He tagged me in the post and urged the lady to ask me openly how he handled the situation, but the lady did not respond.
But you want to know if there's history. Well, if you want to know, go and ask. So here's what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that there are times when, in a time when promiscuity is so high, time when it seems like there are very few people who are loyal, a time when, whenever you are offered free sex, that you ain't gonna turn it down, a time when it's hard to find that there are people who still believe that marriage is right and that we're going to do right by our marriage. I wanted to make this clear for every man who's standing firm and doing right. I wanted to make this clear for every man who's holding down his wife and holding her down well. I wanted to make it clear for every man whose integrity and moral consciousness is tied to the God and the Jesus that is Lord of his life. I wanted to make this clear for every man who desires to do what's right, even while the world is going wrong. I wanted to say that there are men that are still pure too.
Mhm.
And I wanted it to be clear because a lot of times when we talk about purity, we don't talk about purity from a man's perspective. We always talk about purity from a woman's perspective. But I wanted it to be clear that men can be pure
They
too.
can.
I wanted it to be clear that men can say no. I wanted it to be clear that men can turn sex down. I wanted it to be clear that men will go to social media and talk about women who deviously try to do things in their messenger and try to lead them away from their wives. I wanted to talk about it. And I wanted to talk about it from a place where people will know that even before we got here, Joseph himself had gone through a challenge
Mhm.
because Joseph had found himself in the favor of God. That favor of God elevated him in a place in the world. And I wanted it to be clear that you can be favored in God, but God gonna favor you so that you can become attractive to the world,
Come on.
so that the world can see that you can be good and live godly.
Yes,
I wanted that to be clear
it is very much so possible.
because for some strange reason, we're under this myth that in order for you to be godly, you got to stay on the God side. You got to stay just in the church. No, God promoted Joseph in Potiphar's house, gave him authority over all this stuff.
So, footnote, you don't have to be in the pulpit and have a mic in your hand to be effective.
What you say?
You can represent God in the workplace. So, just keep that in mind. You have just as much of a voice in the workplace as those that have the microphone in their hands standing over the pulpit. So, keep that in mind.
And you never know who's watching you.
That's right.
You don't know who's watching you. You don't know who's developing a right or wrong consciousness about the things that they're experiencing in the world. They're doing that because they're looking at you.
Hmm.
And what they're getting out of it helps them to make a determination of whether or not what they're going to do is either going to be right or if it's going to be
That's
wrong.
so true.
And I just wanted to come and I wanted to share that Joseph was attacked in his morality. Now, watch how the lie plays out. Look at what happens. Let's go to the text. Because, see, when she kept pressuring him day after day, and he just kept on saying no, well, one day, however, no one else was around when he went to do his work, and she came and grabbed him by his cloak, and she demanded that he sleep with her. And Joseph tore away, and he left the cloak in her hand as he was running. She then said, in verse 13, when she saw that she was holding the cloak and he fled, she called to the servants and she said, my husband has brought this Hebrew slave here to make fools of us. He came into my room to rape me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream, he ran outside and got away, but he left his cloak behind me. See, I just want you to know that sometimes even doing pure may not always merit the right thing in the moment, but what may happen in that moment, you may be in the moment demoralized, but in the end, you gonna win
That's right.
because right is always
That's
gonna
right.
be on
Hmm.
top, and God was always gonna come to your defense
Hmm.
when you do right.
That's right.
And I want to encourage you that I don't care what nobody says, and I don't care how about nobody feels. I just want you to know that when you say no, the yes to God will be your greatest
That's
promotion.
right. That's
Don't
good.
ever think that God will not back up both your no to the world and your yes to Him.
Absolutely.
He's always going to stand firm with you.
Always.
He's always going to stand firm. He'll never leave you. He'll never forsake you, even in a moment like that. Because later, Joseph would be put in prison. The same dream that got him out of the hole, that got him to Potiphar's house, that got him to prison, would inevitably get him to the palace. And he would become the second in command to that same Potiphar, that same Pharaoh, rather.
Yeah.
He became second in command, all because he chose to be pure
And do it
and
right.
he denounced being promiscuous. Do what's right, ladies and gentlemen. Do what's right. Don't let the sexcapade take you down. You shut down the sexcapade and you do what's right. Be honorable to your wife. Be honorable to your husband. Be honorable to your commitment. It's okay. You don't have to prove anything and you don't have to say yes to everything.
That's right.
There's some things that you just need to offer a flat out no, and don't be unapologetic about it. Just know that a no is going to take you further than any yes in this world.
That's right.
Do what's right. Do what's right. Allow yourself the benefit of allowing God to show you how doing right is still going to be the best thing
Yes,
that ever happened to you.
absolutely.
Do what's right. I just can't say it enough. Just do what's right. I've been with my wife for 20 years, and I'm not ashamed of not one of the 20 years that we've been together. The 20 years of our lives have made me the better man. And I can say that in the camera, and I can say that looking at my wife. My wife being by my side has added more value to me than anything that I could have ever gotten in this life. And the first 20 years is really the catalyst to me giving her a better 20 for the rest of our lives. Because I want to make sure that she knows that the yes that I gave her November the 6th, 2004, I want her to know that I said yes then and I'd say yes again. It's what women need to know, and it's what a man needs to know.
Absolutely.
Men need to be reassured to know that me saying no to every other woman,
Yes.
how are you rewarding me
Yeah.
for the no that I say to them and the yes that I say to my marriage?
Yes, that certainly means a lot because there's so much promiscuity out there, and I know it means a lot to me. And anyone that's been married any length of time, don't take it for granted, because you have women throwing themselves on men and men throwing themselves at women. You just don't take it for granted. Know what you have, value it, and always let your mate know that you value them.
Listen, it's been always enjoyable to be with you on TNT Talk. Tune in next week. We will be back to share another episode with you. This has been Bishop Dr. Tyrone Smith and my lovely wife, Lady Savannah. We will be back here next week. Everybody have a wonderful week. We'll see you soon.